You have been waiting for 30 years. The call never came. And last Tuesday, you finally understood why. You are a history teacher, 38 years old. You teach the same lessons every year to the same bored faces about wars and empires and the patterns of power. You are unremarkable in every way that can be measured. And you have known since you were a child that you are not supposed to be here. Not in this classroom. Not in this life. You were built for something specific. You were trained for something specific. And for 30 years, nobody came to tell you what it was. Here is what you know about yourself that has never made sense. You speak 4 languages. You did not study 3 of them. You simply woke up one morning when you were 12 and they were there. Complete, fluent, accent perfect. You know how to follow someone through a crowded space without being detected. You know how to memorize a document in 40 seconds and reproduce it word for word 6 months later. You know 17 ways to leave a building without using a door. You have never used any of these things. You have simply always known them, the way you know your own name. You assumed for years that everyone was like this. You were 26 before you understood that they were not, and that the waiting you felt, that specific, restless, purposeless waiting that had been with you your entire life, was not normal. You remember being 8 years old, a building you cannot place geographically, adults you cannot describe facially, a series of rooms, tests that did not feel like tests, games that were not games. You remember being good at them. You remember being told, "You are the one we have been looking for." You do not know who said it. You have spent 30 years assuming it was a dream. Except dreams do not teach you 4 languages. Except dreams do not leave you with the ability to calculate exit routes from any room you enter. Except dreams do not make you feel like every single day of your ordinary life is a waiting room. 3 years ago, a new student joined your class. Quiet, serious, exceptionally intelligent in the specific way that makes you look twice. The kind of student who already knows the answers but asks the questions anyway. Watching you, taking note of how you think rather than what you say. 3 weeks into term, you looked up the emergency contact. Standard procedure. The emergency contact was a name you recognized, not from school, from a briefing document you absorb at the age of 9, in a room you cannot geographically place. A name that was on a list of targets. You saw them for the first time at the autumn parents' evening. They walked into your classroom and you felt something you have not felt since you were 8 years old. Recognition. Not of the face, of the posture. The specific way they moved through a space. The way their eyes completed a full environmental assessment in 3 seconds. The way they sat down across from you and smiled. And the way the smile did not reach the part of the face where real smiles live. You talked about their child for 12 minutes, and at the end they said something that had nothing to do with their child. They said, "You are very good at this." And the way they said it did not mean teaching. You went home that night and looked, not online, in the place you have always known things were kept. The knowledge you carry that has no source. The filing system inside you that was built before you had the language to know it was there. And you found the file. Not a physical file, a recalled file. The kind of memory that is not a memory but a brief. Stored, waiting, accessible only when the correct context triggers retrieval. The context was the parent's face. The brief was the mission. And the mission was not what you thought. There was no target. There was no action. The mission was a substitution. You were not built to eliminate the person on that list. You were built to become them. You go back to school the next morning. You teach your lessons. You watch the student watching you. And you understand something you did not understand the night before. The parent did not come to parents' evening to discuss their child's progress. They came to look at you. The same way you spent 30 years waiting to be activated, they have spent 3 years waiting to find out what you would do when you found the file. They found their file before you found yours. They have known about you for 3 years. They have been making a decision. Whether the person sitting across from them is a threat or an ally, or something neither list has a category for. It is a Thursday, 4:47 p.m. The last student left 20 minutes ago. You are marking essays about the fall of the Roman Empire when the classroom door opens. No knock. You do not look up immediately. You already know who it is. They sit down in the chair in front of your desk. The room is completely quiet. You put down your pen. You look up. For a long moment, neither of you speaks. You are both doing the same calculation. You are both the product of the same system, making the same assessment from opposite sides of the same desk. Then they speak first. How long have you known? 3 years. So have I. Another silence. Then you say, "Why are you still here?" And they say the thing that changes everything. Because the people who built you built me to replace them. There are 2 of you, not a copy and an original, 2 separate programs, 2 separate handlers, 2 separate organizations who both believed they were the only ones who had thought of this. You were built by one side, they were built by the other. Both of you waiting 30 years for a call that never came. Because the 2 programs found each other and canceled each other out, and left the 2 of you here, in an empty classroom, on a Thursday afternoon, with 30 years of training between you and nowhere to point it. You look at each other for a long time. Outside the window, the school is emptying. You think about 30 years of history lessons, about wars that started because 2 sides wanted the same thing, about empires that fell because the people holding them together did not know about each other, about the patterns of power you have been explaining to teenagers for a decade. You have been teaching this your entire cover life. The irony of it. Then one of you says, "What do you want to do?" And the other says, "I want to finish marking these essays." A pause. Then, after that, you look at the stack of essays on your desk. The fall of the Roman Empire. You look at the person sitting across from you. 30 years of waiting. 30 years of a life that was preparation for a moment that turned out to be this. 2 people in an empty classroom, both built for power, both choosing, for the first time in their lives, what to do with it.